Okay, so we're going to have a bit of a think about factorising, okay? And we're going to think about just factorising linear brackets or just single brackets. Now, with this, it's about finding a common factor, okay? It's about finding a common factor, and in fact, it's about finding the highest common factor, okay? So if we start off, let's think about the highest common factor and what that actually is. So the highest common factor, or HCF as we sometimes say it, okay, is basically highest factor that two or more numbers have in common. So if we take two numbers like, let's say we've got 35 and 20, okay? If I was trying to find the highest common factor of those two numbers, I would list out their factors. So what multiplies to give me 35? Well, I've got 1 and 35. 2 doesn't work, 3 doesn't work, 4 doesn't work, 5 and 7. And that's all of them. Okay, for 20, I've got 1 and 20. 2 and 10. It's not in the 3s. 4 and 5. And I've listed all of them. 5, okay, they both have a 1, but 5 is the highest number they have in common. So their highest common factor would be 5. Now, we use that logic when we are factorising single brackets, okay, and when we're actually trying to factorise single brackets. So if we have something like, let's say we've got 25x minus 15. Okay, I think, what do 25, x and 15 have in common? Well, I'm looking just at the numbers and they both have a 5 in common. So I take out a 5 outside my brackets. Then I think 5 times what gives me 25x? Well, 5 times what gives me 25? Well, that's 5. 5 times what gives me 25x? Well, that's just going to be x. And then I think 5 times what gives me 15? Well, that's 3. So I just write the 3 here. And what I can do to double check, does it actually work, is I can just go back and see if it does. 5 times 5x gives me 25x. 5 times 3 gives me minus 15. And I know it works. Okay, let's have a look at another one where it's maybe slightly more complicated. So this time we will have a look at something like 25x squared minus 15x. Okay, so I'm staying with my common factor of 5. So they've got a common factor of 5, so I take that outside. Okay, they also both have an x in common. So I don't shut my brackets there, or start my brackets. I also take out an x because they've got an x in common. Okay, then I take it in their stages. Think about the numbers. So 5 times what gives me 25? Well, that is 5. X times what gives me x squared? Well, that's just x. Then 5 times what gives me 15? Well, that's going to be 3. X times what gives me x? Well, it's 1, so I don't need to write it. And I end up with that. Okay, again, I can re-expand it. I can check. 5x times 5x gives me 25x squared. 5x times minus 3 gives me minus 15x. Okay, and again, it works. And that is all you're doing. You're taking out the common factor and then thinking, how can I get to what I originally started with? Okay, if we do one final one, we'll have a look this time at something maybe a bit more confusing. So we've got 14pq minus 7q squared plus 35p cubed. Okay, so 14, 7 and 35, they're all in the 7 times tables. Okay, this one has a p, this one has a p, but because this one doesn't, they don't all have a p in common. This one has a q, so does this one, so does this one, so I take out a q. Then I go through it stage by stage, so I'm saying 7 times what will give me 14, well that's 2. Q times what will give me pq, well that's just p. 7 times what gives me 7? That's just 1. Q times what gives me q squared? That is q. 7 times what gives me 35? Well, that's going to be 5. Q times what gives me pq cubed. So if I think, first of all, I need that p. The q is then going to be squared, and then I close my brackets. Okay, so again, it's just finding that common factor, taking it out, working out what multiplies, and putting the rest into brackets. Hopefully, that's helped it make a little bit more sense. Have a go at those questions, take it in those stages, ask yourself those bits along the way. What is the highest common factor? What do I need to take out? Things like that. And hopefully you will be okay with that. Bye.